Hello, hello everybody. Hi. There we go. Great. Okay, so my name is JoJo. I am here to talk to you today about DaVinci Resolve, which is one of my favorite editing softwares. If you've joined me in the past for our live streams, you'll know that this is our third session here. We're calling these Build With Me, and basically I'm helping you walk through how to build out 8 social media posts ahead of time, a month ahead of time, so that you can build a structure. I'm calling it the Sustainable 8. Essentially, it's a pretty easy thing to do. And I think that, hello, hi Tabitha, nice to see you. And welcome. If you're on Instagram, please know that I'll try to keep track of comments. I'm hoping to kind of see everybody all at once. I need like one more screen. I have 2 screens right now, but I need one more. Okay. Great. Okay, looks like we are all set. So again, hello, my name is JoJo. This is basically what I'm calling Blood, Sweat, and Creative Tech, where I go through and I walk through different tools. I'm trying something a little new today. I'm also streaming on Instagram and TikTok, so if you're there and you want to see the full screen version, please feel free to join me on YouTube. You can find my link in the bio. Today we're covering part 3 of our Build With Me for Sustainable 8. This is the 8 social media posts that we've been building out in ClickUp, and we've been building out last week we went over a little bit of how to use AI and Canva. And this week we're doing probably my favorite topic. Next week is pretty good too, but this week we're doing DaVinci. We're talking about video editing. Video editing is something that can cost small businesses a lot of money, and so my hope is that by the end of today's session you will be able to feel confident editing your own video on DaVinci, or at least starting to. DaVinci is a really great free software, and I'm so excited to talk about it. So without further ado, hello again. If you're joining on TikTok and you want to see the full screen, you can join us on YouTube. Today, let's see, I already said this, but we're going to be talking about DaVinci Resolve. It's a free, very powerful video editing software. Right here on the screen, we're going to go through a live edit of a start to finish of one of the videos I'm working on for my charter business. We're going to cover organization, subtitles, titles, layering, music, color, audio, exporting, and so much more. And basically at the very end as well, I will show you how to export your YouTube chapters from inside Resolve. It's just a super powerful editing software, and if you're currently editing on CapCut or ClickUp, tell me what you think about using DaVinci. Are you a little bit nervous? Do you know anything about it? I am so curious. I feel like DaVinci is kind of this great, secret that is what do you call that? It's like a secret that's right in front of your face. Basically, everybody knows about it, but nobody talks about it. And so I want to talk about it today. It's actually in use by Hollywood and some other well-known editors it's a great system. It also pairs with Blackmagic, which is about Blackmagic is they make cameras and a whole bunch of other stuff, but they are also a really great they're just a good company, and what I think is best about it is that it is, like I said, a totally free software, which we'll talk about in a moment. Yeah, well, CapCut is great too. I'm hoping to kind of show you why DaVinci might be a little bit what do I want to say? DaVinci may be even better than CapCut for a few reasons, and we'll kind of see today. I have edited in both. Let me tell you actually a little bit about my background so you know who I am and why I, can say what I can say about video editing in general. So it starts all the way back when. My dad is a videographer, and I grew up coiling cables and walking around on sets. he often hired me as a teenager to do something called logging, and logging is where you logging is where you take footage off of a tape. So this is back when video was still being put on tape. This is 30 plus years ago, and you take it and you type into the computer the data that you want to label it, and then you do that for the entire length of tape you have. So that's usually an hour's worth of footage. If you can imagine going through and labeling every single clip from that hour's worth of footage instead of just having clips on your screen, that's pretty much what that was like. And so I would often get hired by my dad to do that as a teenager, which I really enjoyed. And I learned how to use Avid, which is still a well-known software, from that experience. And so from there, fast forward, in my early 20s, I did a professional internship in Colorado Springs as a video editor. I've been a director, an executive producer, a talent director, a camera person, an audio engineer, a scriptwriter. I've done live shoots, interviews, narrative films, and even documentaries. And most recently in my own work, I've been doing short videos, not in my own works, I apologize, but in Alaska, I've been doing short films for nonprofits, and then of course I do my own shorts for our channels that we have. And my brother and my dad are still very involved in the video industry in Colorado. Quick shout out to my brother, who actually just completed I believe it's his third HBO series. He's a video editor for a company called Sender Films, and they just finished up The Dark Wizard, which is about Dean Potter, a rock climber, and that's really phenomenal if you get a chance to go see that. And thank you so much if you're joining on TikTok. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. And then my dad just recently finished up. He did an interview with Krista Tippett of the podcast On Being. And so even though I kind of am removed from the professional film industry, I still have a lot of involvement in the film industry. And I'm just all the time, I am, learning about video editing. And one of the things that people say, especially as an entrepreneur who's trying to create content, if you want to be a serious content creator, you really should hire out an editor. And I do agree with that. That is something that I actually think is really important to consider. If I had the money, I would definitely hire a videographer or an editor. The videographers, you can be a videographer, but the editing specifically is something that it takes so much time. And we mostly want you to be able to share your experience, right? Like, your job as a creator should be to create instead of just editing. However, I do think there's a really good argument for learning how to edit and actually taking it into your own hands a little bit. So that's why I want to cover DaVinci Resolve today, because it is an extremely powerful editing software and it's totally free. So it is important to say that you can pay for the upgraded version, which is $300. It's a flat rate. It is not a subscription. If you upgrade to the free version, you will get a few things like AI captions and a couple more powerful tools, specifically what's in their special effects and title design. But you can do so much with the free version. I've been using it for just over 5 years and I haven't had to upgrade yet, but I do want to, because I think that there is value in paying for the software that you use. But until you can do that, this is a really good option. And I do want to say too that I've dabbled a little bit in CapCut and Edits, the Instagram editing software, and they're good. They have their merits. They're very great. They're great for like straight ahead, simple videos. But what I'm hoping to show you today is how much more professional you can make your videos with a professional video editing software like DaVinci. And also, I want to save you some money. Like, CapCut's great, but it's also, $10 to $20 a month, $120 a year. If you could be spending that money on, say, I don't know, a subscription for Stanley at Instagram, and getting the same result, maybe that's where you go. But that's my goal here. So we're going to jump right in. Please let me know again in the chat if you are a video editor, if you have done, if you have a preferred software. And again, if you're joining us on TikTok and Instagram and you want to see an entire layout, or you want to see the widescreen, please feel free to join us live there. Okay, we're going to switch over our camera views. Sit tight for just a second. Someday we'll have a team of people who are doing this for us, all of us. If you're an entrepreneur and you are currently wearing 10 hats, just like take a second and, pat yourself on the back, because you really are doing it all. You are doing the work of a team, and it is important to remember that. Okay, let's jump right in. When you first open up DaVinci, you're going to see a couple of places that you can keep your projects. So over here we have our local drive. This is the one that's going to live on your computer. You can choose to add projects from the library. These are going to be your projects on the right here. This is where you can also import and export entire projects. So if you're working, I haven't ever tried it, but my guess is that if you're working in another editing software, you can probably export a project file and it'll show up in DaVinci. Give and take some, it's kind of like copying Microsoft, whatever the Word to Max thing, where you lose some of the formatting or whatnot. But the long and the short of it is, if you want it to live on your computer, this is here. This is where it is. You also have a network. If you're working with multiple people, you can connect your computers here. I don't currently do that, but it is an option. And then I right now have been using the cloud, Blackmagic Cloud, because it also allows me to use my camera as a remote, as a remote monitor, or my iPad as a remote monitor. So when I'm doing my, specifically when I'm doing my surreal facts and I'm standing in front of the camera and I have kind of a setup, I want to be able to see myself, because you want to see what your lighting is like. You want to make sure you're in the frame. And instead of like running back and forth to check back behind your camera, DaVinci has a really awesome feature called Remote Monitor, and you can see it on either another phone or your computer or an iPad. I'm super fortunate to have built up my equipment arsenal over the last several years. So I typically will record with my iPhone and then monitor on my iPad. And then the nice thing too about Blackmagic Cloud is that if you are taking video on your camera, it automatically will upload it to your project, and it's right there. You don't have to drag and drop. It shows up right in the project. It's really slick. So these are some of the reasons that DaVinci Resolve has an edge on the competition right now. It is worth saying that DaVinci Resolve is coming out with DaVinci Resolve 21 will be coming out this fall. It is available right now for beta, but essentially from what I have read, it's going to be pulling in some of the attributes of Adobe's Lightbox, is that what it's called? Where you can process raw images right in DaVinci Resolve, which is pretty mind-blowing, because it's almost like DaVinci Resolve is taking all of Adobe's suite, the Creative Cloud, and putting it into one software, which is what you're going to see. So you don't have to like go out of it to edit your sound. You don't have to go out of it to edit your color. It's all in one, and it's free. So those are just some quick benefits of the cloud versus our local drives. I'm going to go ahead and click into AFT Shorts. For me, the way I organize my footage is I will have a project file for longer projects. Anything that's 2+ minutes will have its own file or its own project folder, and it'll be separate. But when I'm doing something like shorts, I'm going to just collect them over here, and we're going to keep them all in the same project, which is just, it keeps all the settings the same, it keeps all my vertical formatting the same, and it just makes it really easy. There's a lot to cover here, so please feel free to drop in any questions as we go along. I am hoping to do many more of these live sessions because they really are just so valuable. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to do things yourself and save yourself a little bit of money, that's the hope here. So if you've downloaded DaVinci and you're following along, that's awesome. But if not, you can always, this video will remain on YouTube, so you can check it out there. When you pop into DaVinci, there's a lot going on here, but first what I want to talk about is right down here at the bottom, we have a couple different tabs. This is going to be how you navigate between DaVinci's different sections. So this area here is all of your media. Down here you can see your master bins, what are called bins in, they're just folders within an editing software. So we have in here, you can see that some of my clips are offline. That's because I removed some of my footage and I transferred it off onto another hard drive so that I had some room. But you'll see that each of these this one has all my footage here and my music that I was using. And this is where it's all going to live. So the first thing I'm going to do is keep going through this. Let me go through these real quick and then we'll start editing. There's two different ways to edit. This is more similar to CapCut, where you have a magnetic timeline where it automatically like slides and puts the pieces together. I use this timeline. This is the traditional editing timeline. This is what I grew up using. It's what I'm really comfortable with. Behind here, hold on. There we go. This is Fusion. We're not going to talk about this today, but it's important to know that this is where you can come in and actually do your own visual effects. And there's just a lot more here with this. This is where you can animate titles and you can do cool things like put the text behind your head and add masks, and sky's the limit. It's amazing, but we don't need to talk about that today. We can cover that at another time. I don't use it currently, but it would be something that replaces those fancy titles on CapCut. And a lot of times there are like downloadable Fusion packs that people have, which include the animations already pre-made, and you just have to drop them into DaVinci. The next one over here, this is your color correction. And today we will be covering color correction. You can also do color grading here. Color grading is where you're putting a specific tint on a film so that it's actually it's like a filter. It's basically the filter that you put on for way back when everybody on Instagram was using filters. And so that's considered color grading. Today we're going to talk about color correcting. Then we have the audio. This is called Fairlight. That's their audio editor. You can see over here on the right side. We'll talk a little bit about this today, but again, this is just, there's so much here to go in depth. For now, know that you have access to an equalizer. You can change the speed here, and you can change the panning. There's a lot that you can do with this feature on DaVinci. And then finally, this is our output. This is what we're going to be. Hi everybody, thanks for joining. If you're just joining TikTok, feel free to, you can join us on YouTube if you'd like to see the full version. We're covering DaVinci today, DaVinci Resolve. This is your export tab, and so here's where you're going to have all of your options for export, and we'll come back to this at the end here. You can see that we have this running queue on the right of all the videos that I've exported and where they've gone, and that will, if you're exporting files from the same project, they'll always return here, but if you're exporting files from a different project, it's going to be clean every time. Okay, so we're going to go back to our media. Actually, we're going to focus on this tab for now. This again is the edit tab. And this is where the majority of beginners are staying when they're on DaVinci. And it's basically, it's just, what am I trying to say? The power of DaVinci is that you have all these other options within one software, unlike other editors, where everything is crammed together on one screen, right? So these are actually in different tabs, kind of like switching through even like a web page that has different pages you go to for different things. So that's the power of DaVinci. Not to mention that the color grading system you'll see is just, it's amazing. It's kind of like having Photoshop for video in some ways. So full disclosure, this is a professional grade tool that Hollywood editors use. Not all, but it is alive and well in Hollywood. We're not covering nearly all of what it can do today, but we are going to cover how to edit a video from start to finish using the content that I am creating. Whew, okay, so tell me in the comments, have you I know that we've had a couple people tell me that they're using CapCut, but tell me what you're using. I'm super curious to know what people are creating on, and As I said at the top, I have used a little bit of everything. I've used Premiere, I've used Final Cut Pro, I've used Avid, I've used CapCut, I've used Edits. You throw any software at me for editing and I can probably figure it out. DaVinci's my favorite by far, and I've been using it for over 5 years and still haven't paid for it. And again, would like to in some day, but it's really powerful. Hello again. Hi, everybody. If you are joining us on TikTok, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. The very first thing we are going to do is I'm going to go under Master here on the right-hand side, and I'm going to right-click and create a new bin. And I'm going to label this bin Eagle Fight. Today we're going to be editing some footage that I got of eagles fighting, which is kind of fun. We're going to start with a new timeline, so I'm going to right-click in this space here, and I'm going to say Create New Timeline. And you can label this one Eagle Fight as well. I highly recommend, I'm not always good at it, but I highly recommend labeling. Label, especially if you're using... if you have a lot of footage. Canva. So I've heard that Canva works pretty well for basic video editing. I know I really like that it can be used for animation and GIFs. But I'm curious. I'm excited to touch base at the end of the live and hear what you think about the software compared to how it's worked. Because I've honestly never edited in Canva. I've always been a little nervous about what that would look like, because I was trained on professional software, but maybe I'm missing out. I like the idea that you can animate little, videos and such. Right on. So once we have our timeline created, we're going to go ahead and create our, we're going to drop our footage in today. This is all of the footage that I captured for this fight. Eagle battle, eagle fight. See, I can't keep it straight. As long as you know what you're talking about, that's good. And then I want to talk about probably the most important part of editing on DaVinci, which will save you the most time across the board, is what's called power bins. And if you want to activate your power bins, they're by default, they are hidden. So if you go up here to the media pool, these are also tabs. If you click on them, they open up different features here. We'll be using these in a little bit, so we'll come back to them. But right here, if you don't see it, the media pool is up at the top left. You're going to click on these 3 dots right here, and you're going to hit Show Power Bins. Power bins are awesome. They allow you to create and have media across projects. So this will actually transfer even from project to project, which is really helpful. So instead of going back in and duplicating a timeline, you will be able to go in and say, you can see here that I have our Adventure Fishing Tours title, which is the font that we use for that business. You can see here is my font that I use for JoJo Creative Tech, and then I have my preferred captions right here. So these are all ready to go. You can also do things like add your logo. If you're finding that you're using your logo a lot, you can put it here. If you have a certain soundtrack that you really like to use, one specific song or even a couple songs, you can put that all here, and all of these will transfer across across project to project. So let's jump back here. You can also export these bins if you want to and import them into a different DaVinci database, so you're not starting from scratch. If you needed to, you can come over here and say export bin, and it basically is going to collect all of that footage and create a little folder for you and export that, and then you can upload it into another DaVinci project. Or I don't think it's transferable between projects, but I would have to check that out. Okay, so then on so tell me about power bins. Do they seem like something that you would use? Is it something that you would find useful? I was editing for a long time without them and have just they've saved me so much time. So And again, if you're joining us on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, you can join us on YouTube. We've got the full screen there, so you don't have to like look at the teeny little things. But wherever you're joining us, thank you so much, because I am just so excited about teaching you guys about the about DaVinci. That's what we're doing. Great. So we're gonna go back here to Eagle Fight, and we're gonna start editing. This is the best part. I need to pull up my script here. One second. So I created a script ahead of time that I am using. I know that, why? Oh, there we go. Okay. I know that I want this to be a relatively short video. I'm going to have both music and a voiceover. I wasn't ready. One moment. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm just going into ClickUp and I'm finding the script that I made for myself today so that I can see it. All right. So let's start off by finding our footage that I want to use. So this is a bunch of different footage that I have in here. You have a couple different options. I believe most of this footage I was shooting in horizontal. I was shooting horizontally instead of vertically. And so I am just going to scroll through here. You can drag your cursor over your files here and it'll show you, I think this is the one I'm looking for. If you double click it, it's going to pop up in your preview monitor here so that you can take a closer look. Because this one was filmed wide, I need to zoom out a little bit so that I can make sure that I'm editing the best of the action. And I can do that by going over here and pulling my zoom, adjusting the zoom here. And I know that the eagles are over here in this footage, so I'm going to go and zoom in, and then I can pop in a little bit here. And let's just watch this for a second. This is a juvenile eagle and a bald eagle arguing over some food. Okay, so this is the one, I think I want to use this at the very beginning, because the first thing I'm saying is, this eagle made a mistake. That's my hook for this video. So I have a couple options. I can either click in the monitor and drag down to the timeline, and you can see it brings the whole piece of footage, which isn't necessarily what I want to do. So I'm going to go instead into the preview monitor here, and I'm just going to put what's called an in and out. This is the beginning and the end of the clip that you want to have. So this is also, I know I want to have this up here, so I'm going to put hotkeys are going to be your best friend as you're doing this. Seriously, this is such a huge thing. I'm sorry, I totally missed what you said. Looks like a great time saver. If you can clarify, that would be amazing. Oh, the power bins. I think that's, yes, yeah. The power bins are absolutely an incredible time saver. So in order to drag this clip in, just the little bit of the footage that I want, I'm going to use I and O. Those are the two hotkeys that are going to allow you to mark the beginning and the end of a timeline. So right here, I'm just going to hit I. I'm going to play it for a minute because I know. And then I'm going to hit O, which is the out. And then you can see if I click and drag, it only brings that little section, which is really very cool and super handy. I also, sometimes if you have like a little piece of footage that you're trying to add and you don't want to obliterate your whole timeline, just doing a quick in out can really be helpful. And hello if you're joining us on TikTok or Instagram. Feel free to join us as well on YouTube if you want to see the wide version of this. Great. So then all it is from here is you're going to go and you're just going to repeat that process with each of the clips you want. So the next clip, it looks like it is, he found a salmon and settled in to eat. So let's see if I can get a closer version. I think I do have a closer. Is this the one where he gets whacked? So again, I can come in here and I can zoom out a little bit and see. Also, I want to show you that you can increase the size of your screen here. It's very adjustable. If you want to, you can see more of your timeline. If you need to adjust the timeline, you can zoom in and out here. So I'm just going to open this up a little bit so I can see. There's a seal, apparently. I totally forgot. Seal was checking out his dinner. Not important, but cute. So, that's so funny. This was back just a couple of weeks ago when we were having, actually, let's go back to this piece of footage. So I saw this up here. Where is this one? And hopefully you can kind of know, where is he? There, and there he is. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for right here. Now, I don't know if it was this eagle, but we're going to go ahead and tell the story that maybe it was this eagle who came in and attacked the other one. So again, I'm going to drag and drop this piece of line to my footage. Thanks so much if you're just joining us. We're editing in DaVinci Resolve. And we're just going to go through a full... Hello, Kelly. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you hopped on. We're just going through a full edit in Resolve here, DaVinci Resolve. So then I'm going to pull in and let's find the footage where it attacks itself. So I'm going to go a little quicker than I normally would. I would like to in the future just do a work with me session where you can work on your stuff and I can work on my stuff. But I am excited about just sharing the basics today to get you started. Oh, look it, here's an even better piece of footage. Okay, let's go with this. So if I want to remove this, there's two different ways you can remove this footage. You can hit, I work on a Mac, so please translate if you're using Windows. But I do Command X, which cuts it and lifts it out of the timeline instead of deleting it. Sometimes if you just hit delete, you'll actually delete some of the timeline below, which can be really frustrating depending on what you're trying to do. So I usually almost always use Command X and then just make sure you're selecting the clip that you want to delete. So here is the footage that I wanted to use for this next clip here. Chittery little guy. Perfect. So that's exactly what I want to have there. And then I want to go to the fight scene. Oh, maybe we'll add this one too. So this is a good piece of footage to kind of show, you know, we're always trying to tell a story with video editing, right? So the more you can show, my brother in particular is really amazing at finding the narrative. Not that my father isn't, don't get me wrong, but my brother has done a lot of, oh, thank you so much for sharing the live stream, Kelly. I really appreciate it. My brother's really great at creating like narratives, kind of like the BBC or like David Attenborough does. So we're sitting here, right? The story that I'm writing, that we're telling, is basically this eagle over here found a piece of food. All of these eagles want to get it. And at one point, another eagle swoops in and attacks him. So let's find that piece of footage. Is this it? Now, if I had been a good little editor, I would have labeled all these clips ahead of time so that I knew. And that is probably the disadvantage that I would say of going to the totally digital era of editing, which is you don't actually have to like go through your footage and label it all anymore. And so sometimes I feel like footage gets lost, which is just, you know, it's my own thing. But learn from my mistake and edit your footage before you go to edit it. I know it's here. Maybe I'm just not being patient. All right, we're just going to settle in and watch some eagle clips for a second.
But it sounds awful.
30, 39, 39, 40, 38. It's got to be one of these. 37, maybe it's this one. Oh, here it is.
Right. Oh, damn.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay. I think I'm talking to my brother is what's happening, so. I know, I'm so lucky. We're so fortunate. So fortunate to have Baldedios right here. Here's the battle scene. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Yeah, so he's got a fish head. That's what he's eating right there.
Yeah, doesn't the new one come out pretty soon?
And it's gonna happen here in a second. Any second, any second. There we go, right there. Yes. Alright, so you can see that this bird's just chilling, and all of a sudden its buddy comes in and whacks him. So if you want to fast forward through footage a little bit faster instead of scrubbing, you can also use L to go forward, and if you hit it twice it'll speed up, and you can hit J to go backward, and again you can hit it twice and it'll speed up. This is really helpful when you're like working in a big timeline and need to see the action. So here we go.
Oh shit, son.
Bam! It's awesome. Okay. Such great footage. We can probably get rid of a little bit. You can cut things here too, so you can adjust the clip in a couple different ways. This is going to be the end of the clip. You can see how I can drag and pick the precise moment. I love how you can see the juvenile in this guy like look up. He's like, oh no! Bam! Okay. So go here. Okay. Perfect. And then we're going to move forward from here in a little bit. But as you can see, like the audio is linked in these. I don't think I want that for this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight each one and I'm going to right click and you can hit link clips. This unlinks the audio from the video, and then you can just hit Command X and it lifts the audio and it takes it out of connection with that. So then you have this entire clip and you don't have the audio, it's just the video. You can also see how the footage looks kind of wonky, right? Like it doesn't look necessarily very good. And so what we're doing, we'll do that at the end where we'll work through the footage and make it look a lot better. Bonk. Okay, so now that I have all of that removed, this guy, and then let's wrap it up. What's the last line? Oh yeah, out here finding food and keeping it are different skills. The funny thing is this eagle in this shot here like dropped the food as he like took it and stole it and ran away and then dropped it. So, you know. Thanks Kelly, popping out and back in is so good. I really appreciate you being here. Nice to connect with you. Okay, so let's just do one of these flying shots. They're kind of nice. And I'm gonna pull that whole one in here. Sometimes it kind of depends on my mood or what. I don't know. Sometimes I put the in and out, and sometimes I don't bother. So it's up to you really on that. Great. Okay, so that is the gist of how you pull footage in and how you add it to a timeline, how you stack it for clips. You can always hit Control or Command Z to undo something. A couple other quick shortcuts that are really helpful. A is going to be your arrow. That's going to be all so that you can actually click and select your different clips. If you click B in the timeline, you'll see that when I hover over a clip, it turns into a razor blade, and that is basically so that you can splice it in a specific spot. You can also you can put the cursor over the video that you want, and you can hit Command or Control B and it'll also split it. So a couple different ways of doing that. Last couple things I want to talk about briefly. This is your this will basically turns off your clipping to be magnetic. So if you have, you'll see I go back and forth between this. But if you click this, you're going to have, if you're editing, it's automatically going to snap to the end there. Whereas if it's off, you have a little bit more leeway and movement in that, and it doesn't automatically snap into place. I use both. I use both equally. So, and again, if you want to zoom in and out, that's where that's going to be on the timeline here. All right. What kind of videos are you most curious about? Or what kind of videos are you interested in editing? Tell me in the chat. Are you doing talking head or B-roll or tours or... Yeah, let me know. Tell me what kind of videos you're editing in the chat. This is, I would say, somewhere between like a live, like a documentary style live stream or a factoid kind of thing. Just standard. Okay. Let's move on to voiceovers, titles, video layering, and music. This is where we get to the good stuff. So we have everything laid out, and now it's time to go in and start really making it look professional. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use my timeline. I'm going to use my timeline to record a voiceover. This is something I absolutely love about DaVinci. It makes it super easy to record a voiceover. Give me one moment. Let's see. So we're going to go to, you can do this a couple different ways. If you have a Mac and you use the continuity feature, which is where your MacBook recognizes your iPhone and you can use it remotely, you can use that for this as well. Or you can use the, I use one of my external mics, and I'll show you where that is here. So for this video, I want to do a voiceover. I didn't realize this was something that DaVinci could even do until very recently. And you just don't ever have to leave the app. You can do it right in-house, and it's a dream. So I am going to come to timeline and then hit record voiceover. And behind the scenes writing music, that's awesome. Yes, I love your videos, Tabitha. I'm so excited. And I hope that DaVinci is able to offer you some version of the, yeah, I hope this offers you a more robust version to make your already amazing videos even better. So for voiceover, when you go up to, again, let's do this one more time. I'm going to go up to timeline, find record voiceover, and that's it. And then I'm going to choose where I want this to go. So I'm going to create, we're going to have this go, we're going to call this Eagle Battle VO. Again, it's good practice to label your stuff. You can see that I have several different choices for mic. Currently, I'm going to use the Q8N4K. And you can choose the track here as well. Let me pull up my script. And then we're just going to hit record, and it'll count down. He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself. Out here, finding food and keeping it are two completely different skills. And then it's done. That's it. Super easy, really straightforward. Probably one of the best features that I just discovered in DaVinci. This will then show up in the bin that you are using, and then you can slide it into place as you go here. So again, if I want to just edit, you can either hit B and I can go in and I can snip. So move this off here real quick. If I hit B, I can go in and I can cut, and here you can see that it's kind of snapping. If I turn off the magnetic feature, it'll allow me to splice these a little bit more independently. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit A and go back here. So that's the voiceover. Super easy, incredibly useful. Probably one of the things I use the most when I'm doing narration over B-roll. It is just super simple. You can watch the footage play while you speak, so the timing is natural. And then you can adjust the volume and clean it up in Fairlight, which again is the audio portion of DaVinci if you want to. Biggest considerations before you do a voiceover like this is to just make sure that your room is quiet. Audio is everything on videos. You'll hear me say this time and time again, but it really truly is. It's so important. And if you're just joining us again on Instagram or YouTube and you want to see the full version of this, you can find me on, if you're joining me on Instagram or TikTok, you can see the landscape, the full version of this on YouTube channel at JoJo Creative Tech. Tell me in the comments, do you prefer to record your voiceovers separately, or are you just talking to the camera? Tell me a little bit about your workflow with this. Next, we're going to jump into titles. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this up a little bit here just because I know that we're done with this. Titles are probably one of my... It took me a little bit to get used to using titles in DaVinci, and it was probably one of the last things that got me to really transition away from using DaVinci. It's one of the main things that got me to transition away from using CapCut. So CapCut has really great options for titles. It's very easy, very natural. You can just pop them in. But a lot of times I feel like those you have to pay for, right? So you have to pay for the fancy titles, and you don't have to do that in DaVinci. So this is a great question about the voiceovers. You don't need an external mic to record the voiceovers in DaVinci. It's really pretty slick. So if you go to again up here to the timeline and you go to record voiceover, it should pop up here under audio input as one of the options. So and then you can see here I'm clipping a little bit, and that's because I'm talking kind of loudly. But this is where you're going to find that. And be able to switch between those different audio options. So hopefully, if you're, again, I've never used DaVinci on Windows, but my assumption is that it's the same thing. Great question. And if you have any questions, please feel free, pop them in the comments. I'm monitoring both TikTok and YouTube captions. If you're on Instagram, I'm sorry, but I'm popping in and out there too occasionally. Great. So let's go on to talk about titles here. I am going to move these up into one. You can see too, when I move these up, if I slide left or right, it's going to add time. And so if you want to just move it up in the exact same place, you don't have to guess if it's in the same place. DaVinci literally tells you if it's in the same location or not. So for titles, I'm going to go to my power bin. This is where I keep all of my titles, again, for just all of my projects. Again, if you missed it at the beginning, power bins are able to sync across all of your projects and make it super easy to find. Oops, that's not the right one. They make it super easy to transfer, to use the same thing over and over. So if you have a logo, you want to put it here. If you have a music piece that you want, you can put it here, and it'll show up in every single one of your projects under power bins. It saves an awful lot of time. So that's where I keep my titles. We're just going to focus on our titles for now. We'll come back to captions in a minute. My on-screen text for this one is "This eagle made a mistake." And I am just going to select the title, come in here, drop my new text, and it doesn't really matter with this font because it's all caps, but I usually like to have titles be a title, and then I usually don't include any kind of punctuation. And then for these, ours is kind of straight up and down, and it makes it, it looks a little wonky. Now we're going to get to video layering next, but I wanted to show you where the title goes, how I use that in general. So this is where I'm going to put this, and then at the end I'm considering putting another one that let's see, we're going to add it for now. So I'm just going to hit Control C or Command C, and then I'm going to move my cursor to wherever I want to put that title next, and I'm going to hit Command V, and it's going to automatically put in the same exact title. I'm going to turn the magnet back on here so that I can actually like clip, it selects, and I know that it's to the end of each clip. In here I'm just going to change this, and we're going to say nature doesn't negotiate. Thank you so much for joining. If you're joining us on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, we're so glad you're here. We're working today in negotiate. I think I spelled that right. This is why I usually just like spell check and copy and then paste so that I don't get it wrong, because there's nothing worse than like exporting a video that you've worked a really long time on and then noticing that you misspelled something or something wasn't correctly punctuated. Great, so now I have my two timelines. This we can see if we want this here or not. Let's go now to video layering. This is something that I really enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click and I'm going to create another video track. I'm going to take both of our titles and slide them on top. It's just like if you're working in a program with any other layers, whatever's on the top is going to be what is visible. So if if you've got your title underneath your video, you might not see it. It needs to be on top of your video, like literally on the top of your timeline, and then it will show up. You can see here that a lot of these videos, a couple of these are widescreen here. I'm going to mute this just because I'm chatting as well. We'll come back. You can mute your tracks as well. You can also lock these tracks so that you don't accidentally, wiggle around your whatever tracks you're doing. All of these tracks have that option. I'm going to take this and actually, so what I've been doing lately to save myself some time, it's not necessarily the greatest editing practice, but I'm just going to copy my whole timeline, especially because it's short, and I'm going to hit Control-C, paste. And then you can see here, I'm just going to pull it over and stack everything on top of each other. And what that does is it gives me the opportunity now to go in and actually adjust each of these individually. So I know here, I'm just going to go through, you can see, kind of follow along as I make these scenes look good. I will be I'm going to be coming back and doing a cleanup of this. This video will be available later in the full, clean, edited version on Adventure Fishing Tours, which is our charter fishing company that I run with my partner Dave here in Alaska. So if I want to fill in this black space, this is one of the main things that we can kind of talk about with regard to editing video. In an ideal world, you would always take the footage that you want in the orientation that you want. But we know that this isn't an ideal world. Also, a lot of times if you're doing nature kind of documentary, so if you're doing natural footage, you probably want to be filming in a horizontal format because you're capturing more of the action. So it's really important to be able to go back and forth between the two and make, thank you, Kelly. And it's important to go back and forth between the two and be able to work with both in whatever format you're in. So if I come over here and I use my mouse wheel, I'm going to scroll out a little bit so that I can see the entire area around my view. This is going to be what's showing up on your screen, obviously. And so what I want to do is I just want to come in here and I need to, here we go. So I want to start it when this guy starts walking over, oops. And I'm actually going to select all of these, hit Command B, and then I am going to hit delete for these. Nope, that's not what I want to do. There's two deletes. You have the delete next to your keys and you have the other delete. So you can, which is also shift delete is, if you shift delete, it'll scooch everything over on your timeline and bump it right up to the last thing that you had. So now we've got this guy walking down, bump, 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 bump. Okay, and then here we want to have this one. I'm going to turn this off.
Found a salmon and settled in to eat.
And then
Another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
just do a couple of these. So this one we don't necessarily need. Oh, sorry, we're staying on track. We're staying on track. I'm getting into the minutia. Okay, so in order to fill in the black space around here, we have a couple different options. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in this timeline a little bit. Okay. So the top version, again, that's what we're going to see. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to position this to, you can slide it left or right or up or down. I kind of like to make sure that the title text, I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. So you can do the same thing. You can zoom here, or on the title text, you can also change the font here. Hit Command Z, that goes backwards. I'm actually going to change it in here. Okay, and then I'm going to shift that down a little bit. And we're going to click on the one that is behind, the piece of footage that is behind or underneath the footage that is the one we want to see, and we're just going to go in and we're going to expand that outward until it fills the screen. And then you're going to go up to your effects and go over to Resolve FX under Filters, and you're going to click on Gaussian Blur and just drag that onto that piece of footage, and you can see that it blurred out the background there. Again, this footage doesn't look great because we haven't color corrected it yet, but we will be doing that momentarily. So that's the basic principle. I'm going to walk through, and I'm actually going to shorten this one a little bit. So again, I'm going to select all these, Command B, and then select Shift Delete, scooches things over. I like to use footage with animals who are moving. It's always a little bit more interesting to have animals that are shifting around, you know, moving around, that kind of thing. And it's just, yeah, it's more interesting to look at something that's moving, especially animals. I wish that wasn't the case, because I do love nothing more than sitting and just like watching a seal that's doing nothing. But yeah, that's, you know, not what gets the algorithm going. Okay, and then here's the eagle battle scene. So I want to make sure that we got, bam. Okay. And, oh, I kind of like, so they kind of give each other a hard time for a little bit. I think that's a good thing to have there. And so again, I'm going to go in here, select the footage that is underneath, make that large, expand it outward, drag and drop that Gaussian blur, and then you're done. And then, okay, so let's see how this sounds with the audio. You can see right now we are just at like 19 seconds here. Thank you again if you're just joining us. Appreciate you being here.
He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
Bam.
Out here, finding food and keeping it are two completely different skills.
So I might even go in later and add some like sound effects to this, but right now I just want to show you the simple editing process. So now that we have our titles, we've got the timeline, kind of got all this, like the footage looks good, we don't have any black spots on our timeline. You can go ahead and get rid of these if you want to. You don't necessarily need to have them. Sometimes you do need to have the footage touching each other in order for transitions, but that's not the case here. Let's do some... Oops. Okay, we're going to steal this music, and I just want to show you as well real quick how I deal with music. We'll get into what's called sweetening, which is when you go and you correct the audio, you correct the colors, you correct all of that as we go through. So I'm going to pick this piece of music. On my Blood, Sweat, and Creative Tech Build With Me kit, the toolkit that I use, I go through a couple different options for music. For adventure fishing tours, I use what's called artlist.io. It's probably my favorite in stock music. They just have really, really great, genuinely good music. For JoJo Creative Tech, I use Upbeat, which isn't, the music quality is okay, but it's not quite as groovy. It doesn't have like quite the feature what I want, but it's not as expensive. It's about half the price of Artlist. So that's why I use it for JoJo Creative Tech. You also can totally use free music, but you have to use it per platform specific. So to get into it a little bit, essentially you have the option in TikTok. So what you could do, backing up real quick. If you want to do a totally free version of this, you can export your video without any music and then add music to your video once you upload it to something like TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. That is always an option. I would recommend, though, if you do have $8 a month that you can spend on music, or $10 a month, Upbeat is a really great option. They also have a free option. I believe that you can download like 3 songs per month, and that's a free version as well. So a couple different options there. The most important thing is when you bring music in, you want to bring down the sound, the volume a little bit. Here's full volume. You can do that a couple different ways. I usually come in and just drag this center line down, and it'll show you how many decibels lower than it is.
He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
I think I've decided that I want to actually add a voiceover here as well. So I'm actually going to create a voiceover separately. And make sure that we're on track 1 so it doesn't automatically record over myself right here. Oops. Remember to turn off your music. This eagle made a mistake. Perfect. That's all I want. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim this up a little bit before I pop it in the timeline here. And then...
This eagle made a mistake. He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
Great. Okay, so you can see here, like, it's a little bland without music, so I would definitely recommend adding music unless you're making it yourself, like Tabitha and some of the other folks are. But here's what it sounds like with music.
This eagle made a mistake. He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
And again, I might come in and add some sound effects.
Keeping it are two completely different skills.
Great. So let's go ahead and end it here. If you just have your cursor over all of these things, you can hit, oops, that's not what I want, Control B, and it's going to clip all of those at that point, and then all you have to do is select and click delete. And perfect. Okay, not really sure what's happening on YouTube, but that's, or on Instagram. Okay, so that is music. Again, if you want to, you can have this music in your power bin. If I drag and drop it to here, it's going to show up across all of my projects, which is really handy. I usually set my dialogue. I'm going to increase this just a little bit. You can do that a couple different ways. I do like to increase it on the clip itself. But you can also increase it on the timeline. That just gets a little dicey if you're also messing with the time. So let's see.
This eagle made a mistake. He found a salmon and settled in to eat.
So I think I want this action part here. I don't know. I don't like this music. I'm probably going to change it later. We're going to leave it for now. But what happened, TikTok? Hello? No. Stand by. Don't go anywhere. They said they detected inactivity. Okay. Are you there? Is TikTok there? Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. So tell me what royalty-free music you use. Do you use original audio? What's your go-to source? I'm always really curious what people are using for their music. Again, like I said, you can check out the Build With Me toolkit, and that has some different, options and talks about, free tools and tools that you can pay for and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's talk about captions. So this is the one thing that honestly kept me from totally switching over to DaVinci Resolve until just very recently. The paid version of DaVinci Resolve has AI captions. So you can go in and you can create your captions using AI. It's a little bit more like CapCut. And again, that's the paid version. And so I was talking to AI, probably Perplexity, and was asking about different options because I was really torn on whether I was going to teach CapCut or DaVinci. And I said, well, the one thing holding me back is captions. And it said, well, good news, there's actually this plugin. And it gave me this incredible plugin, which is called Auto Subs. The link for this is in the description, and it is AI powered subtitles, but it's totally free and it's just a plugin for DaVinci. So I definitely recommend downloading this, and give the guy like $5, $10 if you can, because he, built this of his own good heart and is actually putting it out there for the rest of the world. So again, that's called Auto Subs by Tom Maroney. I will put the caption to that in the, I will put the link to that in the caption on YouTube. And let's check it out. This is what it looks like in action within DaVinci. So once you install it, you'll have to, of course, shut DaVinci and restart it. And you want to go to Workspace down at Scripts, and it'll come up under Auto Subs. And then it's going to open a separate program here. So he is also coming out with a new project. So if you guys if you have ideas for what he should build next, you can input it there. You're going to select your audio tracks and see which one does it want. It doesn't usually pick up the music unless you have music with words in it. And then I would just select whichever audio track, track 1, whatever your voice is. This is where it gets a little tricky. For the output track, we want it to be up at video 3. It's not perfect. Sometimes it goes there. Sometimes it creates another one. Actually, I'm sorry. We are going to create one more video track. I like to move my titles to the very top. Again, mostly just because I want them to be seen. And then you can pop back into Auto Subs and pick audio video 3 captions. So in here you can see that there's captions, copy captions. It has a default template. I usually use captions. One thing I've noticed, I forgot, I have to drag and pull this down to the timeline here, because otherwise it won't. You can kind of put it anywhere on the timeline off to the side, but otherwise it won't recognize. This could be total user error. Maybe this is me. This might not be something that is inherent in the design of this particular plugin. But I have found it best to, if you pull the caption that you want it to be designed after down in here, and then make sure you select it in this menu, it'll put that in the caption font. Has a couple of different things, different speaker labeling. You can choose your model here. If you're doing, I usually stick with a small model just for what I'm doing, because I'm doing a couple minutes. For my longer videos, you can go and you can use the larger versions. I do use dynamic time warping. This helps it align with your words a little bit. And then you can come in here and you can also set a bunch of different settings. You can, per character limit. I'm actually going to drop this a little because I find that 30 is a little bit long for most of what I'm using. Let's put it at 28. Oops. So 30 is a little bit long. Why? Okay. This is just the character limit. We don't need a word limit. Line count, we want 1. You can have more, and you can also have it split naturally on punctuation. I don't do that. So you can see how many different options there are. There's also the ability to to censor sensitive words. Once you've selected all of your options that you want, you can just hit start transcript and then let it run. And it's going to take just a couple of minutes. It's going to go through. And once it's done processing, we'll just pop it in the timeline here. And again, this is powered by OpenAI. It has that under the hood, which means the accuracy is really impressive, especially for clear speech. There's some things like for Alaska specific names like Huna. I think it's spelled at Huna, which is a really common misspelling, and it's Hoona. So you just have to go in and adjust those things, and that's pretty easy to do. Hello, if you're just joining us on TikTok, thank you so much. If you're on Instagram, we sure appreciate you being here. I say we. I say we because I hope you all appreciate each other being here. We're covering DaVinci here. We're talking about how to add subtitles to a headline or subtitles to our timeline for free in DaVinci. So here we're just going to click Add to Timeline. Once that's done, you can go ahead and exit out of here. I'm going to remove this piece of my caption, and then we're going to double check these captions right here. I knew there was a reason I did this for smaller. We're going to move this up just a little bit. And then for this caption, so what I typically do is I will come in here and I will actually physically move the caption text below the title. So in here, there we go. If you want to change anything in the caption, if you want to move it down, you just select it, and it's probably really hard to see right now, but we'll go into it in a second. And you can see that. So, and actually, I'm going to take this one out because I don't need it. I already said it. So this eagle made a mistake. That's already on screen.
He found a salmon and settled in to eat. He found a salmon
and then if you want to, you can see here, this is something that I really appreciate at DaVinci too. This is the same on CapCut, where you can actually slide the ends of your clips and they kind of like walk back and across each other. That's a really handy thing, especially with captions.
Settled in to eat.
Then for this, I'm going to cut it.
Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
Okay, so this is a little wonky here. It's because I shortened
Another eagle decided.
Another eagle decided. Scrolling a little bit.
It wanted the fish for it.
And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm actually just going to put. You can edit your timeline or edit your captions right here. And I lift this out, and then I like to clean it up so that my captions aren't run on here.
Here, finding food and keeping it are two completely. Out here, finding food and keeping.
Okay, so for these captions, I want to come out here a little bit. We're going to drop these captions down. I usually go to 75 on the y-axis. That seems to work okay. And again, I think that these ones are going to be. Just come in here and
keeping it.
And
are two completely different.
So let's see. I like to go through.
Out here, finding
food
are
two
completely different skills.
Move this guy down. Okay. And then just make sure that your timeline, everything matches at the end so you don't end up with like a black frame at the end of your video. This is super minutiae stuff. Like, it's not the end of the world if you do, but it's just, for somebody who's a perfectionist like me, this is how I work. So now we can see,
made a mistake. He found a salmon.
You can see all the captions here.
Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself. Out here, finding food and keeping it are two completely different skills.
Yeah, great, perfect. So I like that. We're gonna basically call it good with that. A quick note about captions and subtitles. Basically, they're not really optional anymore if you're presenting polished pieces of video. People are going to engage more if you have captions. So if you I'm curious. Tell me in the comments how many of you use the captions how many of you in the comments listen to videos with the sound off or on? I find myself about 50-50 in the evenings when my partner's home and we're watching TV or something. Like, I'm terrible. I will double screen time, but I will watch with the captions 50% of the time. Otherwise, I will listen to the videos. But I do feel like captions are super, super important. So tell me what you think about that, using captions, whether or not you do. I think it's a really slick again, this was like the deal breaker for me. This is why I was like dragging my feet and why I didn't want to go to DaVinci. I was like, oh, but I have to literally type in every single caption, which I did, by the way, because I'm a goober and didn't look this up sooner. But I actually ended up typing in, for a 30-day challenge that I did, I ended up typing in all of my basically all of my subtitles, and it bit me. A couple of them were not spelled correctly, and it took a really long time, and just not a great, not the way to go there. So cool. Let's jump into color correction. This is probably my favorite aspect of DaVinci. That's not true. I like all of it, but this is a really powerful part of DaVinci. So up here, we've got two different options. So first of all, the color corrector is the wheel down here at the bottom. Again, this might look a little intimidating if you've never used a kind of behind this, if you've never used any kind of color grading. It doesn't have the automatic like the correction that you're going to have in CapCut. But again, this is what we're doing is for free here. So we're just trying to help you save as much money and save up for those subscriptions that you really need to spend your money on before purchasing an expensive piece of editing software. So this is a totally free part of DaVinci Resolve as well. We're going to do color correcting, not color grading. The biggest difference is between, again, correction, you're going to be fixing things like exposure, white balance, contrast. Grading is going to be more about adding a creative look on top of that. And so today we're just talking about color correction. We're going to keep it really simple. Basically, there are 5 pretty easy parts. We're going to cover how to do it by yourself, and then I'm going to show you the way that I shortcut this specifically when I'm using footage from my iPhone. So you can talk about, you can go in and you can adjust your temperature, your exposure. Let me find a good, okay, so this is a really good example. If you want to look at a certain piece of footage, a certain part of it. Oh, I might want to get that audio back. We'll see. Again, if you want to see the full version of this, it'll be available on our Adventure Fishing Tours website later. You can find us there. So instead of going in, you can go ahead and you can adjust temperature. You can see how that, you can play with your white balance here. It's always better to color correct in a dark room without a lot of light around because you'll get a better feel for the actual colors. I also have my monitors on night shift 100% of the time because otherwise I get really bad headaches. So my color correction, I will usually turn that off before I do like an in-depth color correction. But for today, I'm just going to show you kind of how I do that. So temperature is here. You can adjust the tint. You can go one way or the other. Again, Command Z is going to be your undo. You can individually adjust the contrast. You can go in and you can adjust the exposure on each of these. So you can bring in the shadows, you can lighten the shadows. You can also change the color of the highlights. So if I just want to touch the highlights, I can go in and I can actually change that as well. So I'm not going to be doing any of that here. I'm going to be resetting. If you want to reset everything at one point, you can hit this little button in the right-hand corner and that will completely reset the color correction that you just did. There's all sorts of different ways to grade the color. If you're familiar with any of these, feel free to jump in and use them. It's amazingly powerful. For today, we're just going to use our primary log wheels and keep it really simple. And actually today we're not even really going to talk about these because I have a shortcut because I'm using iPhone footage. So for saturation, down here at the bottom you can see that we also have saturation and hue. Sometimes I do like to pop up the saturation just a little bit, but don't go too far because it can start to look really cartoony. So just make sure that you are using that tastefully, I will say. There's a couple of different things you should know. If you want to, I like to adjust things independently. So you can adjust things. And what I mean by that is I like to adjust the color. So I will adjust like the contrast separately from the hue, because those are different things, and you can layer on those. Real quickly, how to do that is you're just going to right click, hit add node, hit corrector, and then you can pop this into this timeline right here, drag and drop that, and then connect these two. And without going in it too deeply, essentially your video is coming in here and getting treated by, we'll call this one, you can name it contrast, you can name this one highlights, and then it's getting put out into the timelines. That's what you're seeing. That's more than you're probably going to need to do. If you're shooting with an iPhone, what I recommend doing is coming in and you're actually going to change from the individual clip, which is what's happening here, where you can actually go in and select each individual clip and change the color, which is great if you have different kinds of footage that you're using that are coming across, maybe one's from your iPhone, one's from your nice DSLR, one's from, your GoPro. That's the kind of thing that you would be wanting to use individual color correction for. If you just want to correct the entire timeline all at once, you can come to this drop-down menu and hit timeline. It's also these buttons at the top. You can see that there's nothing here right now. That's by default. Again, right-click, hit add node, corrector. We're just going to connect it to the media on either side. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find, it's called Color Space Transform. And this is something I looked up online, and I just know by heart at this point. These are the different the color spaces that I need to have. And then we're going to go to DaVinci and saturation preservation. Cool. And so now you can see that the footage looks a lot better. It has a lot more color.
Out here, finding food and keeping it are two.
And you can see that it automatically applied it across every single clip.
He found a salmon,
which really makes it super helpful.
This eagle made a mistake.
So the problem with this footage, it's really cool footage, but it's not my favorite footage I've ever shot because it's a little bit monotone here on the background. So I am actually going to go in and I'm going to select, make sure that if you're working with stacked clips like this, make sure you're selecting the clip that you want to work on. I usually do, I'm going to just come in here, I'm going to up the contrast a little bit, and I'm going to decrease the highlights slightly so that it's a little bit, oops. What do I want to do?
This eagle made a mistake.
Yeah. And then I'm going to boost the shadow a little bit.
He found a...
And then if I want to, so again, this is, I'm adjusting this, I'm adjusting the timeline here. So we actually don't really want to do that. I'm going to go back and we're going to go instead to the clip. And in the clip here, make sure you're selecting the node, and this is where you can adjust the contrast, and you're not going to be touching the whole timeline. So just make sure you're in the right place on that. And if you want to transfer this, if you want to transfer the color correction that you're doing from one to another, if you want to capture, if you say, oh, I really like this footage and I know that down the line, this is the footage that I need to correct. So for example, I know that this footage is going to be very similar to this one over here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command C. And again, I'm going to go and I'm going to pop over to that footage, and then I'm going to hit Option V, and it's going to pop up with the parameters of what exactly do I want to keep. I'm just going to select all of them. You hit apply and it will automatically apply your color correction at that point. Great. So that's color correction. You don't need to touch every single slider. You can definitely overwork your color pretty easily. This looks terrible to me right now. I will have to spend a little bit of time on this just because the eagles are like the same color as their background because nature. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to correct this and touch it up a little bit more before I fully send it out. But just know that for now, this is how you do that. This is probably one of the most complicated parts of DaVinci, but If you look it up online and just say like, what I'm shooting with an iPhone 17 or whatever it is, what are the settings for the color space transform, and it will tell you, and then you can come in here and input those, and you will have better looking footage, which is really helpful. That's why it looked like Chrome. Okay. So tell me about your footage. Does it come out looking a little dark? Does it come out overexposed? How often do you have to tweak the white balance? The biggest beginner's mistake is typically overcorrecting. So going, and I can totally speak for myself. I like look back at some of my very first corrections for the videos that I did when I was right at the very beginning of using DaVinci, and they're pretty bad. They're not great. So take your time with color correction. Less is more, all that kind of stuff. Let's move on quickly just to talk a little bit about Fairlight. This is a really slick tool. It's really worth taking your time on audio because more often than not, viewers will forgive bad footage, but they won't actually forgive bad audio. So this is a really important part. Yeah, well, and so this is the cool part of DaVinci too, is that maybe in your natural lighting, it might be able to help lighten up some of these tones, and you might already be using the color corrector within CapCut, but you can really get in and do some minutia with this color corrector. So yeah, it's so hard. Like video is not as important as audio. If your audio is good, that's where you want to focus for now. So it is absolutely, it can be so tough to get the it can be really tough to get the audio, to get the video footage correct and look good before you actually even have to edit it. On my 30-day challenge, it was a pain. It took me it was kind of disheartening, and I had to like at points just be like, it's good enough, like just put it out there, just do it. So okay, let's move on to talk about we already talked. Okay, deep breath. Here we go. So with Fairlight, this is a lot like Adobe Audition built in to DaVinci Pro. So again, what's great about Adobe is they have all these programs, right? And you can have your audio correction, you can have your video corrector, and then you have to import them back into Premiere Pro as you're editing. And DaVinci just shortcuts that. It's just a different tab. And so this is what the Fair Harbor audio sweetener looks like. If you come over here, you can double click, and it's going to pop up your dynamics. You have all your typical options here. I'm going to do this really quickly just because I want you to know that it's here, but audio sweetening is its own thing entirely. Equalizing is super important. We want to make sure that your dialogue is balanced and that your voice sounds good. So if I want to, you can select on your timeline, you can hit I and O, and then you can go up here and select this. This is looping. And so if I'm in here in the equalizer, this is the equalizer for the track. So I do want to say that if you're on audio 1, this is the equalizer for this audio track. You can go in and individually adjust the equalizer within each clip as well. But for here, let's go.
This eagle made a mistake.
And I want to create this.
He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself. Out here, finding food and keeping it are two completely different.
And typically I'm going to be equalizing, or I'm going to be doing audio adjustments with my headphones on, just so that you do get the best quality and your check. But it's really important also to check on your phone. So once you're done sweetening the audio, you export it and you double check on your phone, making sure that it doesn't need anything else. You also have options for audio effects here, which are really cool. So you have all of these are free and included: dialogue processor, distortion, phase mixer, and then it will tell you which ones are going to be not free. You will get, it'll just say like, hey, you don't have the subscription, but a lot of these are included. And so like a de-esser, if I want to come in here and put this on here. A de-esser, all that's going to do is it's going to drop down that part of the audio spectrum where S's sit, and it's going to decrease that and make it a little smoother and not going to be so in your face. All of these are just really powerful options.
This eagle made a mistake. He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted.
And then if you want to, you can turn off, you can turn the audio effects off and on here. And if you go over here, you can actually select the order in which each one is prioritized. It's going to be different for whatever you're doing, and all your effects can also be found in here. So if you want to, you got to, same thing, drag and drop onto whichever piece of footage you want, or you can add it to the entire timeline by coming over here and adding it to the track. So that is the Fairlight audio. You can actually, there's also, you can do, it has like a noise reduction. There's a lot of really great options. Very good range of options in Fairlight for sure. And the biggest thing is if your audio already sounds good, you're probably okay and you don't really need to touch this part. I would say that on average, I maybe only go into Fairlight, I don't know, I would say I touch Fairlight on my longer videos for sure. But more often than not, I'm just recording ahead of time in a way that actually allows for clean audio, which reduces, the time on the back end. So tell me in the chat, what are you using? Are you using an external mic? Are you using a built-in mic? Are you using your phone? I'm very curious. I have my personal audio setup. I have a couple different, I do have a, let's see if I can show it here. It's connected. Hold on. All right, there we go. I do have a version of, this is not obviously what I'm using right now, but I do have a studio mic. These are really great if you have a setup that can use it, but they're going to be, sometimes they're USB only. This one is an XLR option. I use this primarily if I'm doing voiceovers, but recently I've only been using my Q&8. It's a Zoom. I don't know, can I pull it out here without, yeah. So this is what I'm using right now. And it's actually a camera, but I use it as a mic more often than not because the camera's not great, but it's nice to have the reference. And that's what I'm using right now. And then I'm really hoping to get a lavalier or a wireless mic, the DJI, probably the DJI 3, if I can afford it, would be lovely at some point. But it's, right now we're doing it with what we got. And yeah, exactly. And mics on your phone and laptop, honestly, they're so good right now that you can get away with quite a bit with that, as long as you're in an environment that is conducive to using those. And Tabitha, I've heard your videos, and I really, it's great. I appreciate your sound quality is just fine. So for now, that's working. And little by little, we build up our studio and do what we can when we can. Let's move on to exporting. We're going to talk about exporting two different ways. Also you can see here that I have an in and out on this timeline. If I want to, oops, I totally forgot how to undo it. There we go. If you have an in and out on your timeline, that's the gray bar at the top there. It can mess with your export if you're not careful. So you can actually select a certain part of your timeline if you just want to export. So if you're working on a longer, for example, when I go back and edit this video, I'm going to go in and I'll probably have it in one timeline and then I'll export sections of it using this tool right here. But for now, know that that's just an option. If you want to get rid of those, it's just Command Option I and Option O, and that's going to take them off the timeline there. If you're exporting to YouTube, if you have a longer video and you need chapters, the number one thing that you need to do in order to add chapters automatically with YouTube is add some markers on your timeline. So you can do that either by hitting M or clicking on this up here. You can also change the color of your markers, which is really handy. And in your marker, you're just going to label your chapter. Intro, and then you can come over here. This is something like I'm not actually going to be uploading this with chapters to my timeline, but this is just an example. And then once you have your markers, if you go to what's called the Deliver tab, the little rocket ship down here, you're going to go up to YouTube, and then I've already, if you go to Preferences, Internet Accounts, you're going to have to connect your YouTube here. And then once you do that, you can connect YouTube and you can say, we're going to call this Eagle dash battle. I always use dashes because Google doesn't read spaces very well. That's when you get those weird errors in the title. So the file names that I use when I'm uploading, especially to YouTube, are going to have dashes. And that seems to help the algorithm or it seems to help SEO a little bit on the back end, which is SEO is the search engine optimization. It's how Google finds your equipment, finds your content. Okay, so down here then I have everything ready to go. We're gonna say, okay, it's going to YouTube, and down here on the left you can import your title. This does not need to have your dashes. And this is going to say 2 eagles battling for dinner. You do not have to have any of this if you're uploading to YouTube, but it does shortcut things. And then most importantly, you're going to say, import the chapters from these markers. What's really cool is that you can actually choose which markers you want to import. So if you can have a whole bunch of different markers on your timeline, and YouTube will only use the ones that you tell it to as chapters. You can also upload a thumbnail at this point, where you're gonna, come in and you can upload it directly from your computer if you're not doing that in another way. And then all you have to do is hit Add to Render Queue, and then hit Render, and it will automatically upload it. I'm not going to do that right now because this video isn't done, but that's how you export to YouTube using chapters, and it's so much easier. It's just so easy. Keep in mind though, YouTube requires the first chapter to start at 0. So if you don't have a marker at 0, it won't import the chapters. So make sure you have that there. For a standalone export, which is what I'm using 90% of the time, typically I'm only exporting to YouTube directly if I have a longer video. So this video, for example, will be exported to YouTube with chapters. The video we're doing here for this live. The video on this timeline is just going to be a standalone export, and for that, it's the same exact, basically the same exact situation. I'm going to go over here. I usually use H.264 master. Again, Eagle battle, Eagle battle. I'm going to figure out, where I want it to go, which is usually, where did it go? Eagle battle. There we go. And make sure try to keep yourself organized as possible because it's super, super important in the long run. You also have all sorts of different options down here. You don't really need to touch anything. And again, chapters from markers, you can do that. You don't need to do that on these little videos. You have subtitles here, so you can export your subtitles as an embedded caption. Even though we have subtitles on here, it's not the kind of subtitles that this is referring to. So that's up to you. And then again, YouTube settings, you can upload it directly to YouTube if you want to. I actually don't know. Maybe you can do it with the H.264 master. Interesting. I've never tried that. Once you've chosen all of your options, you just want to hit Add to Render Queue, and then you're going to hit Render. Render is basically where it's going to go through, and it's actually going to export the final video for you. And it's going to make an MP4, which is what you're going to use for Instagram, uploading to TikTok, YouTube, etc. You can always export standalone files directly to YouTube, even if you want a local copy, so instead of downloading it. And then you can see here, and then I always like to test it.
This eagle made a mistake. He found a salmon and settled in to eat. Then another eagle decided it wanted the fish for itself.
I think we're going to go back and add audio
Out here,
to that.
Finding food and keeping it are two completely different skills.
Perfect. And that's it. So it looks good. And then all I would do for me, you know, because I work on a Mac, because I'm going to go to share and then AirDrop, and it's going to pop up to my phone, and then I can transfer it. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you export in 1080p or 4K? Are you shooting on your iPhone? Are you shooting on a DSLR? Tell me what your workflow is like a little bit. And that's pretty much it, everybody. I think we covered all of it. So I'm going to come back to you live. There we go. Yay. Okay. And can I make this bigger? Let's see. Oh, yeah, look at that. All right. Perfect. Well, welcome again, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this walkthrough. We are basically, let's just take a quick look at what we built today. So essentially from all of these raw clips, we were able to export a polished and a finished video. We set up our power bins so that logos and music and templates are ready for every future project. Instead of having to re-import them every time. We added titles and video layers and text with text overlay, B-roll stacking, and music track underneath. We also generated automatic subtitles using auto subs in just about a minute. It did not take very long at all. No manual typing required, thank goodness. We did our color correction to help the video look a little better. We talked about cleaning up audio in Fairlight. And then we exported in two ways, both YouTube and as a standalone MP4. So if you've been joining us for the Build With Me workshops, your homework is this week to go and film something. And if you're using DaVinci or you want to try it out, give it a shot and let me know what you think. Please tell me, DM me, whatever you'd like to do. I'm so curious how this would work for you. If you're using something else too, let me know if any of these tips have been helpful for the other editing programs you're using. Just a quick note about next week. My brother is visiting on his way for summer work. So he's going to be here on Wednesday. I'm actually going to be uploading a quick tutorial in CapCut that kind of covers the same things that we went over here, just in CapCut, and it's just my workflow essentially in CapCut. So you will be seeing that on Wednesday next week. And then our final Build With Me session for April is going to be April 28th, and that's going to be covering websites and SEO. So building a low-cost professional website and basically how to get it found on Google. If you don't have a website, it's really important to consider actually investing in one, because it makes a huge difference for people to be able to find you. And if you have a YouTube channel but no website, you're missing out on a lot of free search traffic that Google automatically puts out in the world for you. So if you have a website and you're showcasing your YouTube footage on that website, Google says, oh, this person's legit, and gives you a little bit of a boost. So we'll be covering that more in depth next week. I use a program called Showit. Showit is a really wonderful platform that is pretty low cost. It's like $25 a month. And then the SEO tools we'll be using are free. And so you can actually get a little bit of a, if you have a website, like for example, if you use Beehive newsletters, which is also a free website, the newsletters themselves, the Beehive itself also has settings for SEO that you can go in and use. And basically any website that you're on, whether it's Squarespace or WordPress or anything like that, whatever website platform you're building on, will have options for search engine optimization, and we'll talk about all of that in depth next week. If you like this video, please just thank you so let me say it again. If today helped you, please feel free to share this video with other people. Please like this video. It does help other creators find what I'm doing here. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can drop them in the comments below, or you can DM me, or you can reach out to me at any time on my website. I also have free coaching sections as well. Tell me real quick, I'm so glad you're gonna I'm glad you're gonna have a chance to go play around in DaVinci. Tell me in the comments too, what is the most useful thing you learned today? Is there a little nugget of information that you'll be taking along with you for the rest of your day? I'm always really curious. Along with being a videographer and editor, I once upon a time was also a music teacher, so I really do value feedback from people and what they're finding helpful. And also, if there's anything else that you'd like to see in this format in the Build With Me workshops, you can tell me and I will try to do a video about it. Just checking our chats here. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy the audio features in DaVinci. It's really helpful, especially for you, Tabitha, with what you're doing with music. I think you'll find a lot of good. What am I trying to say? So your audio is already good, but I think you're going to find more options to make it sound even better. And I'm excited to hear how it goes for you, and if you found this useful, or if I need to cover something more in depth, I'm always happy to. Again, there's a lot in DaVinci, and it really is a robust program. And yeah, I enjoy using it, and until I can hire an editor, this is what we're going to be doing. So thank you again so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't had a chance to check out our community yet, you can always do that as well. And if you want the full list of tools that I use, it is in the links as well. And you're so welcome. I really appreciate you joining. It really makes it so wonderful to have people interacting as we go through this, and just want to put good knowledge out into the world. So thanks so much for being here, everybody. We will see you, we'll see you next time, again next week for CapCut, and then the week after we'll be returning to our live sessions. It's probably going to be a longer session. Again, it'll probably be a couple hours, but we'll go back to our live session at that point, and it'll be wonderful. And then hopefully by the end of April, you will have all of your content already made for the month of May. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you next time.